Friends, I'm going to ask the immediate mourners to please sit. The rest of you can stand around the chairs. Our service is about to begin for Mr. Paul E. Hill. I would ask if you have a cellular device to please turn it to the off position. Officiating our service today will be Rabbi Moshe Green.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. It's a big crowd for a 99-year-old man. I remember I asked him, I said, do any friends left? He goes, they all passed before me, and there's one, I think, but he's totally senile. He doesn't know who I am, doesn't know who he is. So, it's a very nice crowd. Thank you for coming. Yeah, I'm Rabbi Moshe Green, but Bill forgot to mention that I'm also a son. Stepson, but more than a stepson. I mean, he married my mother 40 some odd years ago, but I've known him my entire life. He's my uncle. Grew up in the same house. It's bitter and it's sweet. Okay. We have a technical difficulty. Some of the grandkids got lost in the cemetery, so. Laurel. You and Bill sit down. Sandy. Okay, now we're complete. Like I was saying, it's bittersweet. On the one hand, of course, it's bitter. It's our father. 6 children. Ellen, Barb, Jim, Laurel, and myself, Roger. Many, many, many years we were together with him. We loved him. He loved us. We shared our lives together. And now, he's gone. It's bitter. It's the end of an era. Who knows what's going to be? And on the other hand, it's sort of sweet. We always grew up, we didn't have 2 parents, we had 4 parents. Right here, you have my mother and father, David and Cyril, and Paul and Carol, and we grew up in a 2-flat. We had 2 homes. I was eating upstairs, eating downstairs, playing here, playing there, talking to my mother, talking to my aunt, my father, my uncle. They were inseparable, all 4 of them. Every Saturday night they went out for dinner, I think, right? Every Saturday night. And then, a little over 50 years ago, my father died suddenly. The foursome wasn't together anymore. And a year and a half later, 2 years later, my aunt died. We come to the cemetery and there were 2 graves. The foursome was down to 2. And then 10 years ago, my mother died. And you come back and there were 3 graves. And Paul, Dad, Uncle Paul, Papa, he was left alone. And now, it's sort of sweet. They're together again. Last night we had or 2 nights ago we had a Shabbos dinner. And we were sitting in Papa's apartment in what's it called? Chestnut Square. And I felt the presence of all 4 of them looking down going, here we are all together and look at our children. We're shepping such nachas. So it's bitter, it's a loss, but it's sweet. They say that when a person dies, and Kabbalah it's brought down, that all of the positive energy of every good thought they had, every kind word they said, every good deed they did, all of that energy, that positive energy creates a light. And it gets concentrated into a ball. And as they leave this world and they go to the next world, that ball of light gets disseminated throughout the universe, both in the physical universe and the spiritual universe, and it lightens up the world. All of their thoughts, their deeds, and their words. All those positive things become part of it. Papa, 99-year journey and a long journey. He created a tremendous, tremendous amount of light. The universe is a much better place now, a much lighter place now because of him. If I had to sum up in one word what he was, it's a simple word, but it's true. He was a good man. He was a good man. He was a mensch. A real mensch. He was a good man. On all levels. It's physical. The man, he didn't drink. Did you ever see him drink? Liquor. One time, he had a clothing store in downtown Chicago. They got held up by gunpoint. And I was there when he came home, and he was sitting down on the couch with a scotch on the rocks. It was the only time I ever saw him drink. He ate healthy. He didn't smoke. He exercised all the time. He took care of himself physically. 99 years to prove it. And he was a mindful person. He didn't ruminate on the past. He had plenty to ruminate on, get upset about, regret, feel guilty, get depressed over, feel the victim of. He didn't waste his time. He didn't dwell on the past. He never ruminated on the past. And about the future, he was not an anxious person. What was right in front of him, that's what he had to deal with, and he dealt with it. And if a bad thought from the past came in, he pushed it out. If an anxious thought about the future came in, he pushed it out. He was good that way. And one of probably the most amazing qualities that he had that I hope I can get a little bit of was he knew how to move on. When things happened to him, he knew how to just, okay, let's get up, dust ourselves off, and move on. My father was his best friend. He told me that many times. They were together so much, and they lived in the same two-flat. They took evening classes together. They were best friends. And when my father died, he moved on. When his wife died, a young woman, he moved on. When they got remarried, he moved on. When they moved to Glenview, he moved on. When my mother became ill, him and my mother they were lovebirds, and they used to go everywhere together. They traveled all over. They went to Arizona, Florida. He was a host for some company. They would go all over the world together. But now she's sick. All right, we're not going anywhere. They moved on. He moved on. And then when my mother died, he had to downsize, go to Chestnut Square, be an assisted living, independent living place. He embraced it. He lived by the dictum, if you can't change it, embrace it. And he really, really did. He really, really did. He was a good son. He loved his father. Told me many times. He worked with his father. They owned a business together. How many father and sons have that kind of relationship where not only can they like each other, love each other, but work with each other for their whole life? And he enjoyed it. He had fond memories of it. He was a good son. He was a good father. Responsible. He was responsible. He was calm. He didn't lose his temper. He was kind. He was gentle. He was a good father. Personally, for me, and for others, he was very supportive. I took on a different lifestyle. He had to make accommodations for me when I would come. All the kosher had pots and pans. And then my mother's fine. This is what you want. It's fine with us. We'll accommodate you. We'll get you some pots and pans. You'll come in. You'll fix the stove and this and that when you need it. We'll do it for you. Coming out to our weddings. He was very supportive. My children have such fond memories of him. He's a great grandfather. I asked my children, and they're like, "Oh, Papa, oh, he was so nice. He was so sweet. He used to sit us all down individually and go for walks with us individually, get to know us, want to know what's going on with their life. He would send us cards and poems for our birthdays. He was a really, really nice man. I loved him." And he was a giver. He never liked taking. When we used to come over, it'd be like, okay, we're having dinner. He starts getting up, taking away the plates. He starts cleaning up. I go, whoa, 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 whoa. According to the Torah, there is a mitzvah to honor your mother and father. There's not a mitzvah to honor your children. Let me get up. Let me go ahead and clean up the table. That's the mitzvah. He goes, no. I want to give. I want to take care of you. It was a fight every time. He always wanted to give. And what was fascinating, this very last phase of his life, when he couldn't give anymore, he just had to take because he was too sick and too weak. He still gave. He figured out a way. I don't think he thought about it consciously, but it was such in his bones to be a giver that when you come to visit, it was, "Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. You don't know how much I love you." He gave us what he could, and that's words. Words of love. Words of validation. He figured out a way to keep on giving till the last moment he gave. Papa, Dad, Uncle Paul, thank you. As a son, thank you. please forgive me if I ever slighted your honor. Please forgive me if I forgot about you and didn't call you enough. Please forgive me for not being the best son that I could be. I tried. I loved you. I want to just read one little poem. We were going through all of his poems. He wrote poems a lot in his later years. This one I just ran across, and he wrote it, I guess, for someone else, but we could use it. He's writing it for us. And I guess the person that he wrote it for suffered a loss, like we are suffering a loss now. And he wrote the following. Grief is like an ocean. It comes on waves, ebbing and flowing. Sometimes the water is calm, sometimes it's overflowing. All we can do is learn to swim. Your sight, no longer to see, but in memories, you will always be. That's true. Now, before we have some more eulogies, I would like the mourners to stand up, please. The 6 children. There's a tradition of renting the garments. It's an ancient tradition where it's a sign of grief. We tear our clothing and we recite a blessing. The blessing we like is thanking the Lord. Blessed are you, O Lord, who is the true judge. I don't understand everything you do, Almighty, but we know that positive energy in the universe is you, and that when even negative things happen, there's some good in it. So we acknowledge that. So we say, blessed are you, the true judge. So please, the 6 mourners, please come up and we'll rent our garments and recite the bracha. Okay, so ready? Repeat after me. Everybody here? We'll do it together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Dayan Ha'emes. Blessed are you, O Lord, King of the universe, the true judge. Oh, right. I forgot myself. Wow. I would like to ask Barbie? I don't know if you still like that. Barbie to say a few words.
Ooh. Sorry, I'm on page 2. My father opens his poem, The Family, with these lines. When did it all begin? The twins, the girls, Carol and Cyril, that's not all, there's more. David and Paul make 4. Following, a half-dozen cousins, more like siblings, arriving 2 at a time. My father wrote poems. He would chafe at my saying he was a poet, and I, in turn after turn, chafed at his relentless nagging for me to write. Did I say nagging? I meant nudging, of course. What is it they say, that parents push our buttons so well because they're the ones that installed them? Well, my father was a pretty skilled tinker. So the irony isn't lost on me that it's only now that as I float above the clouds in seat A18, making my way to this small plot of land, a sacred space anchored north, south, east, and west by the ones who make four, that I open my laptop, I put fingertips to keys, and I write something for him. Okay, full disclosure here, they had just announced that we wouldn't have any Wi-Fi for the rest of the flight. So my distractions, already limited by the in-air kind of situation, were even more so. But still, as the words "may his memory be a blessing" echo around me, and my father's memory, the nudge, becomes a call, a blessing, a mitzvah inspired by his honor, are these words my response. My father turned 99 2 months ago. I will be 68 years old in just a few weeks, so surely, by any measure, my father lived an extraordinarily long life, and the six of us, arriving two at a time, for an extraordinarily long time, we had a living parent. But for the six of us, the extraordinarily long life experience we honor today is inescapably juxtaposed with the short life experience of another parent, unavoidably coloring this moment and imbuing the chorus of our shared song with a discordant note. We gathered in the same spot to sound that first note 54 years ago. Just a year later, a duet. When more recently we left behind a trio, it would be disingenuous to pretend the faint hum of a full quartet didn't follow us home. And so here we are again. We six arriving two at a time. We were introduced too soon to grief, and as one of my favorite authors wrote, grief remains one of the few things that has the power to silence us. It is a whisper in the world, a clamor within. Even more than its usher death, grief is unspoken, public ignored except for those moments at the funeral that are over too quickly, or the conversations among those of us who recognize in one another a kindred chasm deep in the center of who we are. For the six of us, we didn't have to look very far to recognize that kindred chasm. We needed only to look upstairs or downstairs or across the kitchen table. A whisper in the world, a clamor within. It bound us and it binds us. That same author reminds us that grief is a passage, but loss is forever. And after we learned about grief, we began a lifetime of learning about loss. As she says, less sharp, but larger. Not always an open wound, but forever a quiet companion. As I write this, my sweater collecting tears and my heart swelling, the woman seated next to me sharing an inch of armrest, visibly concerned, I recognize that even with this peaceful, quiet passing that he was ready for, he was eager for, I was ready for, the quiet companion has stepped aside for the moment. The open wound, though it may retreat sooner than in past times, is claiming its spot. Surely it's deepened, it's sharpened by the memory of the three of them, who with him make four. We are defined as much by whom we have with us as whom we have lost, this author says. Yes, we are. I am. In sorrow and in joy, with that quiet companion forever by my side, in love and in loss, I am defined by both, forever bound to the ones who made four and are lost, and by the six that are here today, that arrived in pairs. My father ends his poem, The Family, with this. The family reunion will not be too soon. It is indeed a pleasure when we are all together. It is great that we keep in touch forever. I love you all, each one of you the most, no matter what I'm called. Dad, Uncle, Papa or Paul. We love you too, Dad. May your memory be a blessing.
I'd like to call on one of the grandchildren. Lucas, please can you say a few words.
I know him that I'm not the only one here who hears his voice when his children recite his poetry. And as you said, Uncle, he was a giver, and he's left so much of his gifts. 6 children and their families carry on his legacy. One of my fondest memories of him is his appreciation for all his grandchildren's, my cousins' work. You know, myself among Lucy and Liana and all my cousins, I'm so grateful that he was able to share with me in the past few months more about his life than I think, and coherently than I've ever any 99-year-old could. And was still writing poetry to the end. I think I asked him, like, you know, what was his secret? 99 years, like how do you remain so healthy and strong? And I think one of the biggest lessons I learned from him was that to not mistake gentleness for weakness. That he was extraordinarily strong in his gifting. I'm extremely grateful, more so than anything else, that he brought into my life so many of my family members who I otherwise would not have had relations with, and that we were able to celebrate our heritage together. So I'm grateful for him for that. Thank you.
I'd like to call on my dear sister, Ellen. Say a few words.
In the last couple years of his life, he wrote a lot of poems, and a lot of them had to do with aging, getting older, and the life. That seemed to be a main topic with him. So this is one, I have his computer at my house, so I was going through everything he had on it. Some of them I wouldn't share. They were a little personal. But here's one about, which he called aging. Growing old is like climbing a mountain. You get a little more out of breath, but the view is better. We all want to get old. You just don't want to get older. I can't read this very well with the sunshine here. Never think of the future. It comes soon enough. Success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get. There is no dress rehearsal. This is it.
I'd like to call on another grandchild, Mitchell, please.
What I have to say requires some context first. A couple nights ago, I was having dinner with my brothers. As some of you may know, I had a cancer experience a while back. And I'd wonder how it would affect my family. You know, that's a difficult emotional thing. And they told me that it wasn't that bad for them. And the reason why was because I was so level-headed and calm throughout the entire thing. So it wasn't traumatic. Perhaps you can, well, no. It's, I feel like Papa was similar. He was very calm, level-headed, not someone you get anxious around. Here's a little story. one day I took him to see the eye doctor when he was already not great at walking. We got back and he fell. And I recall this one woman gave us kind of a dirty look because maybe I didn't quite do enough to help him. But then she quickly looked away. The reason why was because he was a lot calmer about the fact that he fell than she was. And sure enough, he didn't berate me or yell at me for letting him fall or scrimp or anything like that. I just helped him up and we walked back into Chestnut Square, and that was that. That's probably just one of many examples. I know I myself did not live through the hardships of the others dying. But, well, as Moshe said, he's able to move on. He's able to be strong, steadfast, cool, calm, collected. And that is pretty inspirational. I know I can look upon him as someone that's a great figure. And of course, he was a leader. I mean, look at all of us assembled. He's the reason why so many of us are here today. And not just today. He was the one that organized all those Seders and Purims and Hanukkahs at his and Nanny's place. He was one hell of a leader. He should be commended for that. He kept this whole side of the family together. That's admirable. I respect him for that, and we all should. So I think that's how I remember him as most. The strong, steadfast, level-headed, but still gentle and loving leader. That's why I'm up here. I mean, I almost didn't feel comfortable doing this because, it's like it's not my place. I lived through the harder days and all, but I don't think he'd want me to just stand aside. He'd want me to stand here and try to be like him. Level-headed, calm, steadfast, and yet still gentle and loving at the same time. So I thank him for giving me some of that, at least some of it. I don't know if I could ever live up to his level of that, but I can try. We all can. Thank you.
I'm glad I spoke. I'd just like to, I think we have one more speaker, my wife. Paul's daughter-in-law, who we love dearly. She loved him. And she's not a speaker. That she's coming up now is because she can't help herself. She had such a strong affection for her. Bracha?
Dearest Dad or Papa, this is way out of my comfort zone, but I know that it would make you happy. So, I first met Mom and Dad, and I felt their love and acceptance right away. This was a major life decision for Moshe getting married, and he was a little nervous, and he asked them, "What if you don't like her?" And he said, "Don't worry, we will love whoever you choose to marry." And they did. I was welcomed to Chicago, and our engagement was celebrated with several parties, family parties, friends, and the famous Chavurah group. I felt loved and cherished from the very beginning. In Dad's words, he thought I was cute as a button. A connection of mutual love and respect was formed from the very start. I'd just like to share a few things that I learned from Dad with you. When he spoke to me or anybody personally, he gave them their full attention. His eyes and his smile communicated his genuine interest. He cared and he waited to learn more about you. I learned how to listen from Dad. Whether in New York, Chicago, or Florida, we would walk together in the mornings. He was pleasant and quick to greet people that we saw, very cheerfully. Neighbors, strangers, it didn't matter. I learned this from him also, to be proactive when greeting people. The chapters of our fathers, the Pirkei Avos, speaks about this, to be first to greet people. He had many interests, and he loved to learn new things. He would prepare discussions and lessons for his Chavurah group. I baked challah with him. I taught him how to bake challah, and he excelled at that, as I've heard from everybody. His challah was delicious. He wrote poetry, and he encouraged me to pursue my hobbies and to be active in community affairs. And I learned not to be afraid to try something new. I also learned loyalty from Dad, how he took care of Mom, total dedication and love. That was true loyalty. And I learned how to be a grandparent as well, as some of the grandchildren said, how he gave them their individual attention and made them feel special. This loss is very deep, and I'm reminded of an incident that happened when my youngest child was about 6 years old. She was helping me with spring cleaning. She was using the vacuum. By mistake, she vacuumed up a scarf that I liked very much, and she was horrified with wide open eyes. She was shocked and felt that she had done something horrible. So I turned off the vacuum and smiled. I opened it up and pulled out the scarf. And I shared this lesson with her. You may not see it. It was gone. You thought it was gone forever, but really it was just in a different place. Although we can't see Dad, and he isn't physically here, he is alive and well in the next world, and he's reunited with his loved ones. And the lessons that he taught us all resonate and will continue to live with, and I'm sure we will give him all, and Mom, and Carol, and David, nachas. Thank you.
And now, it's the most difficult time, but it's the last mitzvah we can do for Paul, Pesach ben Meir. It's the last mitzvah we can do. And that is to make sure that he gets a proper and honorable burial. So, I would like everybody to come up to the coffin and we'll lower it down. We personally will do the mitzvah. Each of us doing a couple shovelfuls to give him his final resting place. His body did its job. 99 years. Housing his soul. And now the body, we have to give it its respect. You did a great job. You took care of him. You didn't even get sick at the end. You just slowly ran out of energy. He died peacefully in his sleep, and now it's our time to give his soul honor by honoring his body, to give it the proper burial. So please, let's begin. director handed me a small little packet of earth from Jerusalem, Mount of Olives. It's very beautiful because as part of the Jewish people, our roots go back to Abraham, and Abraham traveled from Turkey and he came into Israel. This is what God says, I'm giving you this land 4,000 years ago. Still as people today, we connected back to his heritage for a little bit of this journey.
Friends, family will go first, but then everyone is welcome to participate. around the grave.
almost done with the ceremony. I'm going to say one short paragraph of psalms. My daughter will translate it into English. And then we're going to have the Kaddish. And after that, one more thing, we're going to make a line for it. One of my favorite psalms.
Yancheni l'magle tzedek o leman shemo Gam ki elech begeitz amoves Lo irara ki ato imodi Shivtecho umishantecho Shivtecho mishantecho Hemo yenachamuni Taroch lefanai shulchan Neged zoroi Dishantov Hashem en roshi Kosi rivoyo Ach tov v'chesed Yidefuni kol yemei chayo V'shavti b'veis Adonai liorech yomim.
Song of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. God causes me to lie down in lush pastures. God leads me beside tranquil waters. God restores my soul and guides me in righteous paths for God's name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your scepter and staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in full view of my adversaries. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days.
Mourners, now time to say Kaddish. On the back here. There you go. Yiskadal, Yiskadash, Shemei Rabo, Yoma Dibro, Yusei, Yamlich Malchusei, Chayechon, Biyomechon, B'chaye, B'chol Beis Yisrael, Ba'agola, Uzman Kariv, Imru, Amen. Yehesh, Barach, Yoilam, Olamei, Omayo. Yisparach, Yishtabach, Yisfar, Yisromeim, Yisnaseh, Yishador, Yishaleh, Yishalo, Shmei Dhucho, Richu, Leila, Mikol Bracha, Bishirasa, Betushbechasa, Benecha Masa, Damiran, Biolma, Beimru, Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba, Min Shemaya, Chaim, Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Beimru, Amen. Three steps back. Ose Shalom, Imrama, Hu Yaseh, Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Beimru, Amen. Okay, now I'd like the guests to form two rows facing each other, and the mourners will walk through. So we should go over here.
Go out to the street.
I'll go out to the
Friends,
street.
everyone who is not an immediate mourner should join us in the line, please.